It's much more than a gym. It's the Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center. Stocked with a wide array of state-of-the-art cardio and strength equipment, the Wellness Center also offers a variety of fitness classes. Run, jog, or get your steps in on the raised sky track with views of the entire Memorial campus. As part of your membership, enjoy the spa-like locker rooms with private showers. Also included is use of the steam rooms, saunas, and therapy pool. For more details, go online at memorialhealthcare.org or call 989-720-CARE.
Well, what an evening at the Brez. I mean, great video there, courtesy of our friends at the D Zone. And we've got the two head coaches, state champion head coaches, two of the four, just absolutely amazing. We'll start with the oldest first, Kyle Clough of the Rockford Rams and John Fattal of the Freeland Falcons. Fellas, first of all, congratulations. We'll just start it right there. Congratulations on the state championship. And also, thanks for joining us. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me, man. I know it's a great honor. I always watch your show from afar, and so to be able to come on here with Coach Fattal is that's a great privilege.
How does it feel to say Coach Fattal when you're used to calling his dad Coach Fattal?
Yeah, well, I figure now that he's been to the Breslin more than his dad, I can call him that and not call John that, you know. So he's earned it. He's earned it. He's got quite the reputation, you know, not only in his area but in the state as one of the great coaches now. So I'll call him that for the rest of his life.
So I'll jump right into it. This is kind of a fun one, listener question for both of you, and then obviously we'll talk about the state championship. But what felt better, hosting that state championship trophy on Saturday, or beating 8-12 Perry to win a district title at Corunna in 2012? What would you guys say is the higher moment?
Johnny, you can start with that one, man.
Oh, definitely the state championship trophy, but I will never crap on that district championship, man. That was highly pressurized in that game. Thank God McHale dropped 35.
Yeah, you know, it's funny when we won our district this year at Muskegon, I came into school the next day and I have a picture from that Corunna district title team behind my office, and you know, I looked at it and smiled and brought back a lot of good memories. You know, I think probably just like Coach Fattal, when you go on these runs, I think one of the really neat things is that you hear from so many people from previous teams that you've been a part of. And, you know, like Maddie reached out and I got an email from Dan Hess and MJ and McHale, and obviously Coach Johnny and I were talking throughout the whole playoffs, but you know, they're all special. Obviously to win the big one, like we were both very fortunate to do last weekend, is a once in a lifetime part of it. But, you know, each one of those little championships along the way, they're all a big piece of it. And I think, you know, even as a player and a coach, you draw a lot from each of those. So I'd say Coach Fattal and I probably both had a piece of that Corunna championship with us there on Saturday and helped us, you know, kind of navigate that process to win the big one.
So I'll start with you, Coach Fattal. I mean, easy question. I mean, how amazing did it feel to win the state championship? And then same for you, Coach Clough, after that.
I think it's still just surreal. I mean, it's like no sleep on Saturday night, and then Sunday is just responding to so many congratulations, and then you go into school and it's just like you're a superstar there and all the kids are superstars and they're just so excited to see you. It's just
right.
It hasn't even really sunk in yet, to be honest.
It won't take long, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. You know, I think you know, Coach Johnny and I were in probably very similar positions starting the tournament. We both knew we had really good teams. We both knew we had a couple of big games along the way, and you know, once you win a couple of those big ones, it starts to feel a little closer. But really for me, you know, we won that game on Friday, and like Coach, probably the next 12 hours were just pure chaos, just trying to piece together the next report and try to figure out how you're going to, guard some guys and not only that, and trying to organize all the other logistical stuff that goes around with your program, getting ready for the next day and stuff. So, again, it kind of sneaks up on you. I didn't really, honestly, I told my coaches in the morning on that Saturday, I said, gosh, I believe we can win today, but I'm having trouble seeing it. And I think it was just because of all the other stuff that goes on. And it was about 4 minutes to go in our game. And I looked up at the clock and I think we were maybe down 2 or up 2. And I told my assistant, I said, I think we got a real shot at this. And, then it just all happened so fast. So like coach, still kind of going on adrenaline here, even in Monday night.
Go ahead, Ted.
I was just going to say, I'm going to ask another lighthearted one. All right. Matt will laugh at this because I usually don't get into a lot of fashion stuff, but Johnny with the suit, Kyle with the casual look. And I will say this, Kyle, your semifinal look, that was lights out, man. That was awesome.
Okay, hold on. I had a question about those shirts as well. I was referring to them as the jack-o'-lantern shirts. Ted loved them. I thought they were. I liked your championship style better with the gray pullover. Where did those shirts come from? Those, now that you won in them, I think you got to keep wearing them. But they're kind of wild.
We got some mixed emotions on those shirts all year long, and I think it was my assistant said, "Hey, it's supposed to be an orange out, so we got to kind of match the theme." But coach always looks snazzy out there, obviously. And, I know he gets that from his dad. I took a page out of more casual book when COVID was here. I felt like we were all almost in sweatpants on the freaking sidelines. So
right.
I've never went back to the suit, and I'm a lot comfortable now, more comfortable on the sidelines. But yeah, my fashion show, as you can see, as I get a little bit older, I think get a little bit further out of touch with reality.
I don't know. I got the suit from Coach Clough and from Dad, and then when I got to Freeland, that's what we did, and it was normal. And then the kids all loved it, and like the kids will, like at the elementary school, like they'll wear, like we say full suit Fridays. Kids in the elementary school will literally go full suit Fridays before their tournament the next day, and so it's just something we've always done, and the kids love it, and they're all bought into it, and so it's like we just can't change it.
And I don't know. I get the vibe from you. I got to call you Johnny. I mean, I've been seeing you since you were toddling around 3-4 years old. I don't know if I can call you John, but so sorry if I call you Johnny. You don't seem like one that really cares a whole lot about what you're wearing on the sidelines. Is that true?
I don't really care. No.
Right.
I mean, I enjoy the suit. It's another level of work, but yeah, the kids love it and they all enjoy doing it. And it's a little bit it's different now, which then just makes it a little bit more unique. So
for sure.
Hey, yep. wait till you have kids running around the house in the morning trying to get that suit dry cleaned and organized, man. And that's why you wear a jack-o'-lantern shirt and a sweatshirt on the next day.
Whatever polo is clean in the closet, that's what you're wearing.
Exactly.
Kyle, I saw an article on, I think it was the Free Press, Detroit Free Press, and they were talking about some of your preparation before the state championship game, and you were quoted. You were kind of doing some walkthroughs in, I think, the hotel lobby or something, and one of the quotes was you guys run the money defense, the 2-3 zone that comes from back in our playing days.
Yeah.
You guys you still run the Badger, you still run thumbs up, thumbs down, you still run Boona, like anything like that. So those are some plays that we used to run. But the question is, I mean, it's fun to talk about that stuff that you stole from our playing days. I shouldn't say stole, you carried over from our playing days. How much of that have you carried over? And then the question for you, John, you guys were talking about, you won the district title with Kyle as your coach. You guys coached together also. What have you both kind of, Kyle, maybe you first, and then Johnny, what have you both carried from your playing days and then maybe early in your coaching days and just kind of kept going because it's stuff that worked?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we'd be remiss on this show if we didn't give his old man a shout out, even though he's not here with us, because I think we both learned an awful lot from him. And I take a lot from our team, Matt. I take a lot from, I think of all the stuff that John, I think, probably gave all of us. It's, just the mentality to prepare the right way, to outwork your opponent, to make sure that you had a game plan in place. And, and then I think the other thing is just getting your players to believe in that plan. John was masterful at that, as you know. I mean, heck, he had me convinced I was the best point guard in the state. I probably wasn't even top 20 for God's sake, but so yeah, I mean, I take a lot, and that when they asked me that question at the press conference, and I actually got chills thinking about how we used to call our zone money. And I don't even know really why I went with that, but I think, like I said, the hand signals are obviously always important, and we prepared Saturday morning. I mean, they wouldn't give us a conference room there. Obviously, it shows you how important they thought we were, but we were down in like a basement with 6-foot ceilings. I mean, Jake Baskin was ducking the whole time. We had a trash can for our, so it was cool. It's a great story now. My staff was freaking out because they got all anxious about the spacing of it and stuff, but it's a cool story now. And, yeah, I mean, I thought about John a lot. I actually saw him, I think you guys, maybe Jared too, sitting up there when I walked off the floor at halftime of that Friday game. And so he was the first guy to call me after our win too. And I think that says a lot about him.
Yeah, I almost was going to get him on this podcast, but Jared vetoed it. So just you two.
Hey, I can tell you this much. He's sleeping already. It don't matter. He's not up for this one.
Hey, John, a follow-up to the zone, what we were just talking about. It was really key in that semifinal game when you guys switched it up and went to the zone. What was the thought process there?
We couldn't guard him. I mean, that's it. Like, we couldn't guard him. We needed Tristan keep his big old butt around the rim, and that was basically it. And we just needed a change of pace of some sort, and that was all the thinking.
You mentioned Tristan. When he let that three go with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter of the state championship game, what was going through your mind? And would you say that was kind of maybe the number one moment of the season was when that three dropped?
Oh, that was a huge play just for him. We have been so hard on him and his shot selection, and just what we ask him to do is, like, he's always been able to shoot it, but just he's one of those guys, like, I think of, like, just going back to, like, those Corona guys and the conversation is like Big Ox. My dad always said he always prayed to God that he made the first one, because if he made the first one, he was never going to go back into the paint. And that's kind of like how we just kind of treated Tristan his whole entire career. Is like, man, he could always shoot it, but it was always terrifying if he let one rip and it went in, because he was never going to go back. And it was just so gratifying to see him bury that one, and just what a huge play. And then you got Connor Leseski, who hit the toilet bowl three right after that, just set the place on fire.
Coach Clough, there's one guy who really, I think he might have been maybe behind Tristan, my second favorite player of the Final Four, the two games that I was there. Dylan Gross. I mean, you talk about a clutch shooter. It felt like anytime you guys needed a bucket, you were drawing up a play for him, and he came through basically every time. I mean, and my favorite part was that every time he made a three, he had a different 3-point celebration, kind of like a James Harden type situation. Yeah. What can you tell us about Dylan Gross? I mean, I loved his game.
He's been a 3-year starter for us, and as a sophomore, he got thrusted into the starting lineup pretty early. We had a couple injuries. He actually led the state of Michigan in 3-point shooting percentage that year, and had a great junior year. This year, he started off pretty well. He made some big threes and some big games early, and then he actually went through a stretch where really kind of lost himself shooting the basketball, which was, it was kind of a weird deal for you as a coach, because he's such a fantastic shooter. And I think the last time we played East Lansing, he was 0 of 9, and that just had never happened to him. It's kind of like a great putter missing 3-footers. You just don't want to talk a lot about it. You just want to kind of feel your way through it. And, he came full circle, and when we got into the tournament, man, he just was magical. I mean, he was absolutely magical, and he carried us, put us on his back in that game, and obviously made a couple big ones there in the East Lansing game too. And the kid's just a winner. I mean, he's 5'6", for God's sakes, but he can strike it from anywhere and has the heart of a champion. And, he's, like I said this at our press conference too, I think he'll end up being one of the greatest leaders in Rockford basketball history. He's just a great leader. He really had the vision for this thing to come to an end there at East Lansing. And, I couldn't be happier for him, especially the way he played.
And then you talk about heart of a champion. I mean, Eli Wolf, am I reading this right? He had 2 torn labrums. Simply put, how the heck did he even play?
Yeah. So, this fall, he started really dealing with some soreness in the hips, and to the point where it was starting to affect him. You could see it a little bit. And so they went to a couple specialists, and long story short, they got the MRI results, and there was 2 tears, both labrums. And he was basically, I don't know the medical terminology for the actual diagnosis, but it has something to do with his hip bone being a little bit disformed. And over time, it was gradually kind of rubbing into those labrums. And and so he kind of had, I think it was really right before the first game, they basically told him, you got 2 choices. You can play through this, tough it out, take a lot of pain relief. It's not going to make it a lot worse. and then have surgery at the end of the year, or you can get the surgery right now and potentially, shoot for that July AAU period. And, he was so tight with these guys. He and Josh are obviously best friends. And of course that connects him to those senior guys. And he made the decision to stick it out and just play through it. And, he had some tough moments this year and he had some heroic moments, but he was only probably a real fraction of himself, to be completely honest. I mean, he can still shoot the heck out of it, but last year he was a kid that was unguardable with the ball in his hands. You couldn't stay in front of him unless you double teamed him. And so, we missed that element. I'll be totally honest with you. There was a point in the season where I think I even said to my assistants, I said, man, we're a healthy Eli Wolf away from the state title. It felt like that. And to see us be able to do that with him playing like that is what a cool deal for all of us, and certainly a pretty cool story for him.
Go ahead, Ted.
Oh, I was just going to say, this is for John. Well, no, I'll ask this for both you guys. I'll let you get some brownie points. How important is it for the wives at home? Because I know the way you guys operate to be successful, you got to put a lot of time and effort into what you do. So how important are those ladies?
Go ahead, Johnny.
I mean, my wife has been outstanding. She's a coach's wife, and I mean, we don't have kids yet, so Haley's probably like a little bit different there, but yeah, I mean, she has just been so supportive, and she absolutely loves all the players, and she wants to be as hands-on as humanly possible, which just makes it so much easier. Like when she wants to be involved with all the parents, with the kids, and just the fact that she's just a fan of all of them and wants to support them and wants to talk about it when I get home. Like it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah. I mean, John said it there at first. I think his dad taught both of us that, there's wives and there's coaches' wives, and there is a difference. There's a big difference. The sacrifice that they make is unbelievable, and like I said, this year for me was probably the hardest year of my career, because we were going right from, the chaos of our season to driving 20 minutes at 7-8 o'clock games for my son. My daughter's 4 years old. We're trying to make her feel included. And so just unbelievable sacrifice on their behalf. And, of all the moments that I had Saturday, meeting both, all three of those guys over at the railing there was probably the coolest, just to know that they were along for that ride. And my son being on the bench with me is a big deal. And, I know Johnny remembers that well. Probably I can remember him riding that bus with us to the Breslin Center back when he was probably about my son's age. So family's everything. Without him, it makes this not nearly as enjoyable. And I think when I was a young coach, I remember some guys that would get out of it and stop coaching because family time, and I thought they were idiots. And I'm like, I'll never get there. But listen, we've all had those moments where it's like, you got to be able to make it work with your family. And if you can keep doing that, you can keep doing it. But I'm sure Johnny and I are both blessed with super supportive wives, and my kids are thankfully into it. It makes it that much more fun.
No, I think that's obviously a big part of it. And even though, John, you said you don't have kids, I saw some cool pictures of you going over and giving high fives to your elementary students. I mean, so those are extended family right there. I mean, so that's a really cool moment of the impact you're already having. And I was going to elaborate on what you basically were just saying, Kyle. I was going to ask about, I saw the pictures of your son. I mean, it is just so cool to think about him being in there with the guys, holding up the trophy on the end of the bench. Just like I said, just one of the guys. And it's similar to what I think the impact you're having, Johnny, with your elementary students. Can you guys just maybe elaborate a little bit on that? The bigger impact that maybe this isn't something you're going to realize for a month, a couple months, a few years, who knows, that these younger kids being a part of this, whether they're your actual kids or your students, have you thought about that? The lasting impact that this is going to have on them?
Go ahead, John.
Freeland, I mean, it just probably does a little bit more along the lines of the community, and just the fact that it's a closed school district. So you have to live in Freeland to go to Freeland. So you just it's just so tight knit. And so working in the school, I go to elementary school on Tuesdays and Thursdays and just work with those kids, but they just absolutely adore the varsity players.
Oh yeah.
And it's part, I mean, it's just, they know them. They see them at football games, they see them at basketball games. And it speaks to like this, the team that we had this year. and just they were easy to root for. And like parents absolutely loved the varsity players too. So it made it very easy for those kids to show up to a Freeland basketball game and just want to be around those guys. So I got to go over there and give high fives to them, but really they were there supporting our varsity players because they're such role models.
Yeah, Johnny's too humble because I guarantee they were there to see him too, which is pretty cool to see him kind of come that far. And I was watching it on TV at our celebration, and I saw that piece of it too. So that again, what a cool moment. But yeah, for me, twofold. My son being there is special. And actually, to be honest, him being there on Saturday kind of kept me grounded a little bit. It forced me to take a deep breath and go over by him and kind of look around and try to be a good dad and remind him to try to take everything in, because it's so easy to get caught up in that moment. And it forced me to slow down and look around and take it all in too. So, and then our, like Johnny, we had a lot of our youth basketball players there. We were supposed to be in a tournament with all of our youth teams on Saturday. And I think we have 16 teams and none of them played. We bailed out on every game. They all came. And, like every good coach, Johnny and I are always thinking about the next moment. And for us, I think both programs, all those little kids there, man, they went home this weekend and today and they're thinking about basketball and they're thinking about how they want to get there, just like we would have, Maddie. All of us used to go to the Breslin before we made it, and you see that, in person, and you're like, wow, that's just something to hold on to. So, yeah, pretty special and definitely super impactful on both communities in Rockford and Freeland.
Not to cut one of you guys off, I know you're an MSU fan, Kyle. Seeing Tom Izzo and Steven Izzo, that's got to be, is that something on the horizon you're already kind of thinking about? How cool would that be to coach your son, or is that too far away?
Man, it's like actually funny. Steven Izzo sent me a text today. He lives over here in Grand Rapids. We have some mutual friends, and I heard he was talking some trash about how East Lansing was going to bring the belt to the Rams. And I let him hear about that one. And I said, man, come on, you got to give us a little bit more credit than that. But no, I do. I've gotten to the point now, he's in third grade, and it's still a long ways away, but it feels closer. It feels like it's possible. I think every coach is freaking year by year, especially after a run like this. But the thought of coaching him someday is exciting. And a lot of his buddies that I've gotten close to, it's, be pretty cool deal someday if I can hang in there long enough.
We were talking about wives, and Coach Fattal, maybe the second favorite person in your life behind your wife is Wilson Huckabee. There's a great photo of you smiling watching him.
I thought you were about to say your mom.
That's what I thought.
That's what I was thinking too.
All right, now I feel bad, but no. I still think he might like Wilson better at this point. What was it like, having him on your team? He's been a key cog for 4 years for you, and then obviously, how much are you going to miss having him on the team?
Well, I've been at Freeland for 7 years, and there's been a Huckabee on a Freeland boys basketball team since I've been here, and then for the previous 9 or 10 years or something. It's crazy how they spread their kids out. But yeah, wow. He's going to go down as a Freeland legend for sure. Yeah. He scored 1,806 high school points and just so consistent. And then, just from a basketball standpoint, obviously can shoot the absolute heck out of the basketball, but he didn't miss anything. So he played in over 100 career basketball games. I think he won 85 of them. So just like a winner, and but just such a leader too, and a little bit different than his brother Bryson. Bryson was a little bit more vocal, but Willie is just whenever you needed a big time play or a big time shot, he was just gonna do it. Walking in, I specifically remember him as a freshman. We're playing at Saginaw Valley against Arthur Hill, and it's rowdy. You get around Saginaw County and some of these Freeland, Saginaw High, Saginaw United, Saginaw Heritage games, and it requires some guts to walk in there and make a couple shots. And that's just what Willie has done for his entire career, whether he was 15 years old or 18 years old. So yeah, we're gonna absolutely miss him.
And then a couple guys that aren't on your team, but I'm not just mentioning these guys because one of them went up to Ted and said, "Hey, you're that podcast guy." But your manager.
I'm surprised Ted hasn't brought that up yet. I'm surprised that wasn't leading this whole.
I was keeping that under wraps.
Hey, you made it. That means you made it, man. When people are coming up like that,
you know it.
Your managers, I feel like they kind of stole the show with some of the trophy celebrations and cutting down the nets. I mean, who are your managers, and tell us a little bit about them. I felt like they were kind of stars of the show.
Well, going back to Dad and just how he would have, like, if you memorized the quote at camp, you would win like an award. So my first year, one of our managers, Ben Hugel, he memorized a different quote every single day. That like was the quote of the day. And then at the end of the last day of camp, he went word for word on all 4 quotes. And then my dad came up to me after that camp and he's like, "That kid's got to be your manager." And 7 years later, he has it all figured out. He's been with me for every single game, like 160 games, every single practice, hasn't missed a single one. And then like so that's Ben Hugel. So in the summer, his mom actually owns a 15-passenger van. Our school doesn't have like summer transportation. So she would just give us the van to go to Cedar Point, to go to Grand Rapids for every single summer shootout. And just the memories that were made because he was around just means the world to those guys. And then number 2, we have Liam Rump, who is just kind of like the heart and soul of this team. And he's just a good kid that just wanted to be around, and he was willing to do anything that you ask, and just a great time. And then last we have Caleb Keim, who is a 7th grader or an 8th grader now, but he's been around for 2 years and just needed a connection to school, needed a connection to some role models. And now he just walks around that Freeland Middle School. Today was absolutely hilarious. Him walking around like he's just telling every single kid, like, "I'm getting a ring. Yeah. I'm going to be guys are like, this kid doesn't even play basketball. Like he's just. But again, those 3 guys, man, anything you needed done, they would get done. And they all had specific jobs. Like once we would arrive at our away games and things like that. But again, they made us better. So yeah, all 3 of them.
Well, you can tell that the entire team loves them. And was Caleb the one you brought out on the pontoon?
Caleb's the one that was out on the pontoon. He actually stayed the night with me for a full week. And I wasn't sure one of us wasn't going to make it to the Breslin Center. I'm glad he kind of figured it out and stayed around.
Yeah, he was the fishing king. He was catching a bunch of fish that time out on the pontoon.
Right.
Kyle, I wanted to ask you, and this is, I mean, Johnny, you can piggyback off it if you want, but we've gone about a half hour now and we haven't brought up you guys playing the Mr. Basketball, KJ Torbert.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but think about our 2003 regional final against Flint Southwestern, playing Brandon Bell, Charlie Bell's younger brother. Brandon, he didn't win Mr. Basketball, but he definitely was in consideration for Mr. Basketball. But I remember before that game playing Southwestern, I mean, he was the focal point of our game plan. I mean, it was basically try and contain Brandon Bell and then let the rest play out as it will. Going into the game against Mr. Basketball, KJ Torbert, was that your game plan? Was it like, hey, or was it more like he's going to get his? We got to take care of ourselves, because he was cooking in the first half. And then you guys kind of put the clamps on him a little bit in the second half, contained him. Was it all eyes on Mr. Basketball, or was it kind of a bigger game plan going in?
Well, when we played him in January, we kind of went into the game, and I really wanted to try to do some things to him defensively and give him some different looks. And my staff kind of convinced me that we needed to just kind of go in there and play and see where we were at, use it more of a measuring stick. And so we didn't do anything to him the first time, man. And he just absolutely destroyed us. And it was, I look like the dumbest coach in the world, because we're 2-point lead with 12 seconds to go, and we gave up KJ Torbert a right-hand frickin' drive-in layup with nobody around. So, the experience having played him the first time, I think, did help us. I think that obviously the day before, you saw what he did to win the game against Brother Rice. And so we had a couple different things we were going to try to do, but he's not a player you're going to stop. I mean, right. The kid shoots it from the volleyball line and makes 50% of them. And so we knew that it wasn't going to be like guy you're going to keep in the teens. We thought if we keep him at 25 and every single shot he takes is super highly contested and tough and we can wear on him, we thought there was value there. But what we did say is that if the game was close, we were not letting him shoot it. After watching the day before, we committed to that. We put in what we called double thumbs up or a red call literally in the basement that morning. We said end of quarter, end of the game, he's got the ball, first guy to his left hand. Statistically, we had him pegged that the more he went left, he liked to pull up going left more than right. So we said the first guy to his left, we're going at him, and you two are staying with him until he shoots it over top of both of you or until he gives it up. And we literally said we're going to let one of the other guys get a wide open shot to beat us and win a state championship. And so we get to that timeout with 12 seconds to go, and I looked at my coaches. I said, "Are you guys freaking sure, man?" I said, "We're about to let some other dude shoot a wide open shot to win a state title against us." And so that was a little bit of a weird feeling. But again, as things played out, our kids did an amazing job. Josh Bascom, our sophomore, had an incredible rotation to take away the first three from their point guard number 10, which I thought was a big one. And then the ball got skipped, obviously. But so, it was an incredible effort. I think he still had 25, 28, whatever he had. But yeah, we did a good enough job. And thankfully he didn't have two more points because that would have been the difference.
You mentioned Josh Bascom. I mean, him and Jace, I won't even try to pronounce his last name. I mean, they were sensational in the championship game. And honestly, what impressed me the most is I felt like maybe in the semifinal, granted, they're so young, it wasn't their best game, in my opinion, at least. I mean, obviously way better than anything I could have done out there. But I felt like they really bounced back and played absolutely incredible in the championship game. What did you think of those two guys?
I'll tell you what, man, it's easy to forget we started a freshman and two sophomores in the Division I state championship. I think somebody said to me, and I don't have verification on this, but I think it was a pretty reliable source, said that Jace is the youngest player to ever win a Division I state championship. He's 14 years old. He's not going to be 15 until June. So he could really be an eighth grader. But those guys, they're unbelievable. I mean, they both, and Eli too, they're not only talented, but they are so level-headed and so calm. Even Jace, he makes that pass in the semifinal 30 feet across the floor and throws the ball away. And he was just chill. He was okay. He was on to the next one. And so, there's, I think the other thing that really helped us with those guys in that game was we played such a hard schedule, like Johnny. I mean, I felt like we were playing a top 10 team every freaking week and the crowds were crazy. And so I think our guys were in a weird way, comfortable in there, as much as it feels overwhelming to all of us. And even me as a coach, I think our guys were like, man, we've done this. And so pretty cool to watch those guys be such a big part in it, obviously, down the stretch, and to watch, Josh make that pass to even Jace on that last cut was beautiful. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome connection for two young kids.
Hopefully you guys got a little bit more time because
I'm in no hurry, man. I'm enjoying this.
We're having a blast with this. This is going to be a special podcast for sure. Let's take a quick break and come back with John Fattal and Kyle Clough right after this.
Jacobs Insurance Agency has served Shiawassee County and the surrounding areas since 1977. Just like 3 Point Podcast, we've had 3 generations: Gary Jacobs Sr., Gary Jacobs II, Brian Jacobs, and myself, Noah Jacobs, serving our community with offices in Waterford and Owasso on M21, just west of Home Depot. Stop in or go online to jacobsinsurance.com to get a quote or get your questions answered by our team. Jacobs Insurance is a proud supporter of our local schools and the proud sponsor of the Prep Spotlight. Insure everything, local, independent, and trusted. It's our family working together to protect yours. That's the Jacobs way.
Are you ready to take your brand to the next level? Look no further. Introducing AZ Branding Solutions, where we help grow your brand from A to Z. At AZ, we're committed to helping businesses and organizations like yours reach new heights. Our full-service print and digital branding agency is your one-stop destination for all things branding. Need a stunning web or graphic design that captures your essence? We've got you covered. Want captivating social media content that engages your audience? Done. And that's not all. We're experts in video production and photography, ensuring your brand tells a compelling visual story. Plus, we specialize in screen printing and embroidery, turning your brand into wearable art that speaks volumes. Whether you're a startup or an established business, AZ is here to transform your brand dreams into reality. Ready to grow with us? Partner with AZ today and experience the difference. Visit our website at www.az.co or give us a call at 1-844-360-AZEE. AZ Branding Solutions, where your success begins.
All right, guys, I said it in my open. This is very Corunna oriented. I mean, you both were standout athletes at Corunna. I mean, Kyle, you were a tremendous football quarterback throwing to Burns over there, and you were a starting point guard for John Fattal Sr. on the basketball squad. John, you grew up in Corunna. We got BJ Jamison. He's in the Indiana semi-states. Drew Rupert refereed in the state finals, for crying out loud. How can you put into words, your time at Corunna and things that are just all of a sudden in 2026 are coming to the top?
I don't know. I just look back as just that 2003 Corunna High School basketball team. Growing up as Fattal, just bleed black and gold, and just growing up hearing stories. My idols were always Corunna High School basketball players from kindergarten on up. I idolized Kyle and BJ. James Curley was my first favorite, but then after that it was Kyle, and then
Dan Hess probably.
Just idolized those guys, and that's what I wanted to do. And then when Kyle took the job as the high school basketball coach, I was like, man, I get to be that guy, and I get to be impactful to young kids. So growing up as a Corunna Cavalier, I mean, I just think it kind of set the stage for just wanting to impact kids and wanting to be around kids and helping them in the way that I know how to do it, and that's coaching some hoop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned this already, but the one common denominator in all this is John, old man John, and obviously, Jared and Johnny have such an incredible father-son relationship with him, but I know Matt would agree with me is, that dude's one of the top 5 most impactful guys in my life. So much of who I am and what I do and why I do it, he has a lot to do with that. And he taught me, how to be consistent. He taught me how to be tough. He taught me how to believe in myself. And he, I know Coach Jamison, I'm actually heading down to his game this weekend. I'm going to go down and see him and stay in the hotel with his team and go to his practice. And,
awesome.
He and I often talk about the impact that Fats had on us. And, I know he's obviously proud of all of us. And, and then, again, for me, it was a really surreal weekend for a lot of reasons, but seeing Johnny play after us out there, it's funny because life's kind of come around full circle. I was the one bothering the hell out of Johnny the whole playoffs to help me. He wasn't asking me for help. I was asking him for help, and Johnny had played a few of our opponents and seen a few of them on film, and he's trying to prepare for it. And he's got his old man coach here bothering the hell out of him, trying to get some help. And, he was there for me, and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget the stuff he did for us in our run. And, I think that anytime you look at a state title run, there's such small inches one way or the other. We could have lost 2 or 3 of those games easily. And so you like to think that some of that help from those people around you makes a difference. And, so I'm so proud to be from Corunna. I think that, so much of who all of us are, we built there. We did. And I think that we carry that with us everywhere we go. And, I thought it was pretty neat to have Coach Anise tweet out at Johnny and I don't know if Johnny saw that, but that was pretty special. And like you said, Coach Jamison getting ready to do his thing down here. And what a cool finishing story to the basketball season that would be to see him be able to get over the top and get to his too. That would be really special.
Little follow-up on that before you jump in, Matt. I had asked John a question at the presser after the game, and it was a great answer, and it kind of caught me off guard a little bit because I was kind of trying to sway it to the Corunna connection. But you had mentioned that the community of Freeland, it's just so outstanding. And, I know both you guys, we don't know what your future holds as far as moving up the ladder or whatever, but right now, you're firmly entrenched in your communities. You love Freeland, you love Rockford. Just talk a little bit about that connection.
Just the Freeland connection.
Yeah, you talk about Freeland obviously, and Kyle on Rockford a little bit.
I think just like the state of Michigan and just like the economics of it, it's like I think Freeland's at where Corunna was at when like Kyle and Matt were going through, just as far as like a little bit more middle class, both parents in the household, and that's just what Freeland has, is just it's just great parents, great kids, great school district. Like, people want to be there and live there and go to school there and support the teams that are there. I mean, like basketball, we had a great year, but a lot like Rockford, they're Freeland's great at a lot of different sports. And I mean, even going back to the Corunna connection, Steve Shaw is our band director. I think we were the only school at the Breslin that brought their band, and kids were fighting tooth and nail just to be on that bus to go and support. And we have a band every Friday night. Like, it's just prototypical small town high school athletics. And it was just special to be a part of every single Friday night.
Yeah, for me, I mean, Rockford's a much different place than Corunna, obviously, but there are a lot of parallels in the standard of excellence in the amount of effort and time and energy that people put into, anything. Like John said, I mean, whether it's basketball, football, whether that's band, whether that's choir, there's just a high standard of excellence. There's a high competitiveness to try to go out there and get to that spot that all of us as kids kind of aspire to be. I mean, I'm the head varsity coach and coaching my kid. And I mean, heck, man, it's like I tell them every day, if you want to play varsity basketball here, you got to be really good. You got to be really good. And so, the competitiveness of all of that, there are parallels. And, they both Freeland and Rockford and Corunna, they love a good winner. It's funny. I saw a guy when I got hired at Corunna or Rockford. I went to my first staff meeting and I walked in and one of the teachers said, "Coach, just remember this in Rockford, we're with you, win or win." And I was like, all right, that sounds about right. And I actually saw him at the Breslin on Saturday and he had tears in his eyes, and it was a cool full circle moment. So, but I think, all these communities have a lot of things in common, a lot of good people, a lot of good parents, and certainly some good leadership in the district.
No, it all starts with the parents, right? And I think, that's a big part of it, whether it's a school district as big as Freeland or as big as Rockford, or all the way down to smaller school districts like Corunna or Freeland. I wanted to say, all the love for Coach Fattal, John Sr. I always bring up the first time I was in a basketball camp with him, though, was when he was Owasso's head coach. And I remember him writing on a ball that I took home from camp, Owasso rules. And I just remember thinking, you won a state championship with Corunna as a point guard, and now you're writing Owasso rules, and then I go play for you when you're, back as Corunna's head coach. It's just always a funny thing to think about. But you guys are talking about everything that you have taken, whether him as your dad, Kyle, him as your coach, and just all the other mentors and everything that you've had along the way. That stuff's, over 20 years ago now. Has the game not changed that much? Sometimes, you think about football back when we were playing, Kyle or Ted, obviously when you were playing, football's changed quite a bit, but basketball, I mean, the game, there's some changes, there's some analytics involved, but otherwise, I mean, you're kind of coaching the same as when you played, right? For the most part, or kind of what's your approach there? Both of you guys.
Yeah. I think my philosophy's evolved a ton in the last 17 years since I've been a head coach, and I think, I think like Johnny, I think every year when you have a new team and new players, you have to adapt, what you're going to do. And, the things that I take from John are just the consistency of building daily habits, and being immersed in that part of the process. And, things like rebounding and jumping to the ball, all the stuff that no players today like to care about, don't want to feel like it's important. But, it's funny because I said this in our press conference halfway through the year this year. I was convinced this was the worst defensive team I'd had at Rockford. And I mean that sincerely. I was like, we're going to have to score 80 points a game. We're going to have to play 7 different zones. We're not going to be good at anything. We just got to outscore people. And we had like this, turning point in our season. We were either going to abandon ship and just start doing whatever we had to do, or we were just going to keep crushing our habits. And we stuck with it. And lo and behold, we hold 2 teams in the 30s, a team in the 40s, and then number 1 team in the state to 50 in the last 4 or 5 games. And so, it's those kind of things that I lean on John for. He really instilled that in us, Maddie, I mean, all those 60-second drills and all those things on a daily basis to just make sure that when push came to shove and you had a Flint Southwestern Academy, 1 stop to win the whole thing and get out of there, or 1 stop to beat East Lansing, that your habits were going to be built strong enough to give you a shot. And so, for that, I'll always appreciate everything he shared with me from a basketball standpoint.
I agree with everything he said about my dad, but just I can't reiterate enough how important Coach Clough is in this whole journey. Like, I feel like I learned way more about life and coaching and leadership when I was coaching under him. And like, I think like X and O's, they're constantly changing. But I think that what I learned most was like, number one, like how to learn. And number two, like the humility of the coach does not always have all the answers. Like he just said, you have to adapt.
Right.
And so like, I just think that those went hand in hand. Like I think one time when we were either at Rockford or Seymour, I don't remember exactly when, but he sent like the whole coaching staff an article about like a college program. And the article is basically just like the argument of like, as a coach, you're not changing enough. You're not like trying to figure things out enough. You're stuck with like ego and stubbornness and just X and O's change just as kids change. But really what I agree with Coach about is just like playing hard, competing, unselfishness, connection, adaptability. Like those are staples year in and year out.
Kind of an open-ended question to both of you guys, but obviously we've highlighted a few of the key guys on your guys' teams. But is there any other players that you guys think we can start with you, Coach Fattal, that you think would be worthy of getting some shine? Maybe not even the guys that play, but also I feel like both you guys had great bench mobs as well.
I mean, I could hit on every single player,
Right.
like every single player just played such a role, and it was just so cool to see. Having these guys, I mean, like we practice freshman or JV and varsity every single day with this goal in mind when these guys were freshmen. So like seeing how much each one of them matured and developed, even just from last year as all juniors into seniors, and just kind of like buying into their role and just buying into like what practice should look like, what winning should feel like, what winning should look like just all of it. And just their buy-in to just, again, adaptability, buying into me, buying into the other coaches on the staff, and then just their unselfishness. So like, I mean, every single player could say positive things about every single one of them. So Jared, no, I don't have one specific, just all of them. I'm proud of all of them.
Yeah, I'm sure Johnny and I are a lot alike in this way, in that, our teams were incredibly unselfish. I mean, we had 4 seniors that didn't even play in the second half of that state championship game, and I look back at the pictures from the game, and those dudes were having more fun and smiling more and celebrating more than anybody on our team. And that's pretty rare, and I think back to Johnny's team, and, we had guys like Derek Alvarado and Damon Montroy and guys that, weren't playing a ton, but were the greatest teammates in the world, and I've shared stories about Derek with my Rockford teams before. And this team for us really embodied that. I mean, we had guys that, you're a competitor, you want to play. And I think we had moments where, you'd have conversations with kids, but these guys, man, I mean, just so selfless and so into, like Johnny said, making our practices elite, competing. And, over here, we're blessed with obviously a lot. And we probably had 3 kids on our bench this year that would have started at 80% of the high schools around here, and got very little playing time. I mean, heck, we didn't sub one time in the second half of the state championship, which I didn't even realize till after the game. But so, yeah, I mean, it takes a big commitment to have 15 guys on your team in a sport where only 5 play. And, I'd say pretty much every state championship team has to have some great guys on the bench there that are willing to do all those little things that kind of go unnoticed.
I mean, that's big for practice, right? That makes practice more competitive. That makes the starters better when the bench is out there pushing them in practice, right?
100%. I mean, Matt, think about our team, man. I mean, our practices were tougher than half our games. I don't think there's any question. And, that's a blessing to a team and to a coach to have those kind of opportunities to be able to do things like that in practice.
What's next for you guys? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm jealous. Probably gonna be a great next week and maybe even beyond that. But I'm thinking about championship rings, designing championship merch. I mean, what's the next week or two look like for you guys? And I mean, it's got to be the best time of your life.
Basically, Johnny, he's saying he wants you to send him a ring when you guys get one because he's family.
That's stolen valor.
Well, yeah, the ring design, like I don't even know how to wrap my head around that and what that looks like. It's like I opened up my email and there's 8 different companies trying to get that business. I'm like, I went to our idea. I was like, I don't even know what this looks like. He's like, I'll help you. but like just the invite to the Capitol, like we'll be going to the Capitol, going
Awesome.
to Saginaw Spirit, Saginaw County. I mean, you really think about some of the basketball teams that have come out of Saginaw County, and it's like there's a rich tradition. So like the support just from the whole entire, like we're going to the courthouse tomorrow, and I don't even know what that looks like, but just it's just a continuous celebration of these guys. So I guess we'll see what the next week unfolds like.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming. Like Johnny, a lot of the emails about the rings, and you obviously got to put a banquet together. And I'm looking forward to spring break in 2 weeks. I can tell you that. I'm going to sit next to the pool for about 7 straight days and not do anything. But yeah, I mean, in making sure that you close this thing up the right way, and I know that we'll both have so many great memories with our team, and sharing all those things with our guys and their families is going to be pretty special to finish this up and be able to, talk about those guys. And, but yeah, it's a lot. It's overwhelming and it's fun. And I think like both of us, I think in a couple of weeks, we'll have a real chance to finally, lay in bed at night and have a little peace and quiet and really be able to think about what we accomplished as programs. And I'm honored to be able to share that day with him. That's pretty special to me too. And be able to keep that in part of the memory is going to be really neat for the long term.
Well, this has been awesome. I'm thinking somewhere down the line, maybe in the summertime, we'll all get together at Blackstone's and have a few Frosties with a few other Cavaliers and really rip it up. But I do have 2 final questions before I let you go. Okay. Number 1, your thoughts and comments about the victory parade and the get together in the gym afterwards. Both of you can answer that.
Well, we're leaving the Breslin, and I'm not even sure what time it is. And all of a sudden I'm getting told that the whole entire community is going to be waiting for you at 11 p.m. in the Freeland High School gym. And I can't say I'm surprised in the slightest with just the support that Freeland showed the basketball team this entire year. And so walking into that gym and letting those guys know like the whole entire town is going to be in that gym waiting for you guys. Mm-hmm. That was just that just ended the night the right way, and just really great celebration. And it just something that our guys and I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah, like we got done with the presser and walked out of the tunnel and felt like half of Rockford was out there waiting for us, which was pretty neat. And it was the first time that our players had been able to see their parents, and that was really special. And then we got back into town here and had a big, community party up at the Corner Bar, which is a famous hot dog bar here in town, and a great facility to house all that. And, speaking of cold frosty ones, by the time Johnny was getting out of the Breslin, I was already dabbling into that a little bit and having a great time. So we celebrated beautifully as a community, as a coaching staff, with our families. And, it's going to be, like I said, pretty special to think about what this is going to mean long term. And, I'm looking forward to continuing to celebrate it here for a few more weeks.
Yeah, just an observation from this old man. I had to go with the blood, so I was up at the Freeland celebration up in the gym, and I got to be honest with you, man. I had serious flashbacks to when your dad, John, and my brother won the '83 state championship, and they had the same kind of celebration. I'll never forget Dick Moffitt dancing on the table at the Riverbend Bar, just to say the least. But the final question for you fellas, okay? It was kind of brought up in the presser for John. How many times have you played or heard One Shining Moment since you won it?
I actually haven't. Our kids, our kids were singing it in the frickin' locker room afterwards. I heard them singing it in there when they were taking their own, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat pictures with the trophy and all that stuff. But, that's funny you say that. And, that's one thing that will always be ingrained in my memory from John, is that he would always play that thing for us when we got to the tournament, man, over and over and over again. And I can still see Maddie singing it, to be honest with you. But that's a cool memory, And again, I'll leave with this. One of the great things for me is, this run has been so special and so many great things in regards to Rockford. But the people that have reached out from Corunna and from our time as players, and my experience there as a coach and a player, boy, those ones mean the most. It's just awesome to know that people are still care about you. And, life takes us all apart, but thank goodness for podcasts like your guys's, and brings us back together a little bit. And, it brings back such fond memories of that place for me, and a place that obviously made me who I am.
I haven't listened to it since. I mean, I think Hugh, our MLive reporter from Saginaw, he reported, I don't even know how the question got brought up, and I literally thought that the guys kind of baited this guy into asking about it because
Yeah, it was a great answer, John. I got to tell you.
Because like literally before we timed it up to where like 2025, like that's the last one shining moment that we listened to before. So like we would go backwards. So like I think we had to start in like 1995 or whatever it was to reach. But like before every game, after we watch after our film session, we always end it with one shining moment. And these guys are like, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, like 1998. And I'm recognizing who these players are. And these players have no idea who's on the screen until about 2020. And so we haven't listened to it at all, but I bet you our guys could probably sing every single word of it.
Well, I know it's copyrighted, but I bet you somebody on each school will put some video together with that. That'll be awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. We really appreciate the time. We're proud of both of you, and it's been just a blast here on this 45-minute interview, man. It's been a lot of fun. We appreciate the time.
Yeah, pleasure, guys. Thank you so much, Johnny. Congrats again, and look forward to keeping up with you guys and watching some of the other episodes.
Thanks.
Thanks for the support.
This is Jim Woodworth, proud Corunna Cavalier and owner of Success Group Mortgage. We have invested a significant amount of time and money into our Corunna community. So I'm here to ask you a favor. If you're in the market to purchase or refinance your home, call Success Group Mortgage. It allows us to continue our mission to support the students of Corunna Public Schools. Call Success Group Mortgage today, 989-720-4380.
Oh, man, that was so much fun. Like I said in the open, it's going to be Corunna heavy oriented podcast. So if they're not Cavaliers or not Cavalier backers, they may not want to listen to it. But that was just so fun having Coach Fattal and Coach Clough on, wasn't it?
It really is like a full circle moment. I mean, obviously for you guys being family, with one of the coaches, and then, obviously talking about your dad, Jared, and just all the connections there. But, for Kyle to have coached Johnny, and then Johnny watching Kyle as a player, and just, it really is a pretty cool thing that they played on the same day also. So fun for you guys to hang out at the Breslin. Basically, how did you guys count how many hours you logged at the Breslin last weekend? I mean, it had to be 20 hours or something more. You were at the Breslin.
Yeah, it was. I mean, what a great problem. I mean, the thing that was kind of funny is, outside of the first half of the Freeland's semifinal, it was like every second of the Rockford games, like you're on the edge of your seat, which has been, I wanted to ask Coach Clough about that. It's like, how has he not had a heart attack? Seems like ever since he's been at Rockford, every game is a buzzer beater. It comes down to the last shot. But what was great is, man, when they won both those early games on both Friday and Saturday, it's like just propelled you to get ready for the Freeland games at night. And, just went out. East Lansing's such a great town. I know we're not the biggest Michigan State fans, but it is an awesome college town and a good spot to spend a few hours in between games. So it was an awesome weekend. It was kind of a full circle moment, not for me, but we used to go to I never was good enough to make it there as a player. But we used to go there, with my brothers and our friends and my dad, and go watch those games every Friday at the Breslin. So it kind of just felt like an adult version of that, with a little bit more on the line, and obviously a lot more fun with two teams having serious, rooting interest.
Jared's age groups watch a little basketball, but then go party, before the next game. Now, our whole crew left, other than a couple of us, after that first semifinal game on Friday where Rockford won. We stuck around for the East Lansing Brother Rice game. Was just an unbelievable game, man. So I was there, since I've already done all the partying like Jared's age a long time ago. I was there for basketball, and I was so glad I stuck around. It was a long day, though. It was 3 straight games, but it was well worth it.
I thought, man, I was thinking about it, like, because we used to go to those games, all that Class B and Class A, those games on a Friday, and it'd be like maybe you get one good game. I thought there was 3 really good games that day for the people that would have, that just were a casual fan going to check it out. I thought they would have been pretty pleased with the product they got Friday, for sure. And then Saturday you had a couple really great games in Division I and Division III. And then, I mean, it was a great game for us watching Freeland pull away late. So,
and then 4 public schools won
Yeah.
state championships. That was kind of a storyline as well.
For
This
sure.
is part of the prep spotlight presented by Jacobs Insurance Agency, local, independent, and trusted, kind of a prep show here. We had Rockford beating East Lansing by 54-50. The outcome was all questionable till the end with that layup, clinched it. And then obviously Freeland kind of, snuck through the playoffs with double-figure wins all the way through the playoffs, I think. A 10-point win over Hudsonville Unity Christian. They knocked out a coach that has like 700 and some career victories. That was a big win for Johnny. Second time they played.
When you look back, I mean, that's what was kind of cool is that both those teams both those championship games were rematches from games earlier in the season. Rockford flipped the script on East Lansing, and then Freeland won for the second time, which was impressive too. Freeland's, I mean, when I really had a feeling that, and that's actually when I got my tickets to go see them, obviously in Michigan, was when they played Portland and they were down by 5 heading into the fourth quarter, and then they ripped off a 22-3 quarter to win that game. That's when you kind of thought, oh, they can handle some pressure and they'll be ready, for the big games to come later on in the year. So it was just awesome. Matt, did you have much of a chance to watch any of those games this weekend, or were you working, or how are you?
No, I was working. I really wanted to hop on NFHS and watch. I didn't have a chance, but I had some friends who were at the Breslin. I know you guys were there too, but I had some friends who were there basically live texting both the games. So that was enough to keep me up, and then your guys' text. But I did want to watch. Didn't have a chance though. Saw plenty of the highlights on Twitter. I mean, there was a lot of media there covering the games.
Got to make a quick comment on the coverage. I mean, NFHS was there. They had announcers. It wasn't the same. I watched a couple of games. It just wasn't the same as the old days on Detroit television,
Right.
No, it's not. And that I actually made the joke to my dad when we were riding, because we watched the broadcast on the way to the Freeland parade. I was like, man, I seriously think the coverage might have been better in 1983 for his state title game than it was. And the announcers are good. Like it's just the reality of the TV sports business where, I mean, where I used to work, they would take a bath of like $200,000 on those weekends to put that in. It just, nobody's going to do that anymore. No. It's a sad reality. Maybe Texas football is like really the only place that still probably has that elite production. But it still was awesome. I got to give a shout out to, I mean, this guy, he's like the white whale of trying to get him on our dang podcast. We can't get him. I don't think he does it. The D Zone. I don't even know what the guy looks like or what. I thought you talk about just an account that I was sifting through all weekend was his account.
Yeah.
Does a great job really covering the finals, puts together an all finals team and does a lot of really good content.
Yeah, absolutely. I did talk to the guy. I didn't get his name, but I did talk to him at the press conference. Just told him I like his content. So maybe we'll hook up with him down the road. The other games in D3, Pewamo Westphalia won the state championship over Arts and Technology Academy out of Pontiac, 61-75. Grady Eklund led the way in his final game at PW, scoring 26. He had over 2,000 points for his career, so he definitely had a stud career for PW. And in that D4 game, Concord down Detroit Douglas, 60-47. Our 3-point podcast prep spotlight performances of the week. I'm going to go to a couple of games, a couple of youngsters, a couple of freshmen really performed on the big stage. Jordan McDaniel of Brother Rice tied the quarterfinal game with East Lansing with an old-fashioned 3-point play with 16 seconds left before Mr. Basketball, KJ Torbert, hit a 3-point buzzer beater. Lil Mac finished with 31. Not bad for a freshman under the lights at the Breslin, but get this one. Another freshman, Lewis Lovejoy, had 41 in their loss to PW. Points were the 7th most in finals history. He was 50% from the floor, hit 6 3-pointers, and just electrified the crowd and kept them in the game. So a couple freshmen. Let's hope they maybe stay where they're at and don't go on to some big academies. But that was quite a performance they put on.
Yeah, the Brother Rice stud. I mean, it reminds me of Darius Acuff, who we're watching tear it up at Arkansas now. Where I mean, at Cass Tech, his freshman year, they won a state title, and he was the best player in the state. So, and I know Lewis Lovejoy. I think he's a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken. I remember him having I think he had 30 plus last year in the finals, and they lost that game too. But you know what's kind of funny to me, and this is maybe just the reality of Michigan and where a lot of our big cities have kind of dissipated. What is up with it feels like there's been like 50 made up schools that are now kind of competing in these, like, I think about ATAP, Flint Elite, Warren Collegiate, Romulus Summit Academy. I guess it's good that we're opening schools. That's never a bad thing, and kind of academies. But I tell you what, there's like half these schools in the state finals. I didn't even know who they were. I didn't know about them until like a year ago.
Johnny was talking a lot about Saginaw. Obviously, what's the one in Saginaw? Was it Heritage and Arthur Hill had to combine, or
no? Saginaw and Saginaw Arthur Hill. They're now Saginaw United. They're not technically I don't think they're an academy. I think they're just a combined school. But yeah, even that's like kind of a bizarre one to think about.
Well, they're going to do that in Flint too. They got Flint Southwestern, which is technically Flint High School, but they're going to combine it all together, and it's just going to be Flint. They do have the
big Flint High School.
Yeah, but they do have the other charter schools in Flint too. So it's a whole different world out there. All right, let's take one final break. I think we've covered the high school scene pretty well in this podcast, but we'll come back for a short discussion on March Madness right after this.